Hey, what's up, garden friends? Jeff here, Tropical Plant Party. How's everybody doing? If you're good, I am great. It is the first day of 2018, and we've got some talking to do. Maria Young did a video on her channel, My Orchid Adventures, reflecting on her orchid experiences and life in general over the last year. And at the end of the video, she reached out and said, you guys do this too. Join me. And I thought, hey, you know what? That's a great idea. Let's do that. Because what is the value of the new year if we can't reflect on our years past? And so, I'm going to chit-chat about that while I do some work on some of my orchids. And I forgot my spray. Be right back. Okay, that's better. Normally I'm more prepared than this. I apologize. What I'm doing today is I am removing some mealybugs because those fluffy little buttheads are back with a vengeance. And going to do some leaf cleaning because things are a little bit dusty out here. And while I'm doing that, talk about 2017 and my orchid experience. I traditionally like to go ahead and start with the bad and end with the good because it's nice to end things on a positive note. And for me, 2017 was a fun year, a year of a lot of changes, a year I would consider to be a year of transition. That's for sure. This little mealybug does not want to come off of there. There we go. Alright, finally got that guy off of there. Last winter I did a little video explaining a bit of a catastrophe I had outside in my garden. Or not outside, it was in here in my grow room. Basically what happened was my garage door got left open. It was extremely cold outside. It was like, I want to say in the 20s or so. And when that happened, my circulation fans were going and I actually ended up losing several of my orchids. 13 to be exact. It actually helped me to grow, I think, in a lot of ways. See, I never had a massive loss with my orchids before. I've lost orchids here and there. Not too terribly often, but it happens. It's part of the hobby. But that was a lot of orchids. They were all Vandas and I think maybe one Cattleya. I did mope about it for a little while, but ultimately, I eventually came to terms with the fact that it is out of my control. It was just reality. It's just kind of the way things went. And I had to move on and get over it. So from that experience, it really kind of changed the way I think about my orchid collection. What I mean by that was, while I was frustrated and upset about losing so many orchids, a lot of them were repeats. I have so many Vandas at this point, not as many right now, but at the time that I had multiples of some of them. And since I wasn't that heartbroken, it kind of made me come to realize that I think I needed to change the way I'm doing things in my collection. From that, what I decided was that I want to focus more on having top quality plants. I'll explain the situation with these orchids later, but I wanted to have quality over quantity. At the time, I had well over 200 orchids. I still have quite a few, but I basically decided that it was time to go ahead and maybe start thinning the herd a little bit and paying more attention to the orchids that I'm really, really passionate about. For a long time, I was just picking up any discount orchid I could find, and so the collection grew very, 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 very rapidly over the years. So yeah, I figured, hey, don't buy orchids as often, and when I do get a new orchid, have it be something from my wish list, something that I really, really, really want. Sometimes those are orchids that are more expensive and that I haven't been able to get in the past because I was spending all my orchid money on lots of cheaper orchids. There's nothing wrong with cheaper orchids, but once you have so many, I decided I really wanted to have specimen type plants. Plants that I would focus more of my attention on. I want to say that was probably February of last year, more than likely. And since then, I have not purchased a single orchid to add to my collection, but my wish list has grown substantially. It was like I needed an orchid shopping detox. Genuinely just overwhelmed because I had too many. I couldn't keep up, and there was a video I talked about how some squirrels were taking my orchids, and it was taking me time to even figure out that they were missing because I had so many. So I decided, take a step back, focus on what I have, and getting those plants to be really healthy and large, and then starting next year, this year now, I'll go ahead and buy orchids again, but sporadically and with more intent on them being something that I really, really, really want. Because last year, the weather where I live was just unusual. Normally, it is super hot and humid here. It was cool and very dry all summer. So the orchids were taking much more time to take care of, especially my vandas. And that led me to doing a different video, I think was called the Orchid Dance, where I talked about how I wanted to grow my orchids in a way that worked well with my growing style. Oh my goodness, this speciosum cross smells so good. I know that's off topic, but I just got a whiff of it. Oh, amazing. So back to what I was just saying. It's not that I'm not up for the challenge. The challenge is half the fun with this hobby. But I just really wanted to do the best for what I have. And this is a philosophy that trickles into all my other aspects of life. You know, I kind of realized, okay, you're done with school, you've graduated, and it's a new beginning, new chapters. This is really a year of transition. And that I needed to focus more and not have my fingertips in a lot of different areas and just full on go for what I need to be doing. It's the same thing with my orchids, to just get in there and do it and not try and spread yourself so thin. Spread myself so thin. I'm talking about me. I'm not projecting that onto you, don't worry. So that was kind of the negative, some orchid loss, but there was really a lot of growth to come from that. And yes, I gave up on the mealybug removal. This is not my day for multitasking. That was too tricky. Yeah, I was gonna go ahead and move on to the positive, but I kind of already did that, didn't I? To not back down and to focus. Being able to focus on my plants specifically, allowing that to carry over into my other aspects of life and of growing up. This was really just necessary, particularly for the winter months when I had my orchids inside. When they're outside, there weren't as many issues, but you know, things like what I'm doing right now, being able to go through my orchids about once a month and clean the leaves off. This is just a water bottle with some, I use bottled water because I have really hard, high pH tap water, and I put like 2 or 3 drops of dish soap in it. Sometimes I've used lemon oil, but point being, when I had so many, this was overwhelming, and I just did not have time to really get it done. To be able to go in and make sure the leaves aren't dusty. You can't have dust on your leaves if you want them to be able to get the sunlight, you know? And things like pest control, being able to go through and dab these mealybugs off. That's really not a very easy thing to do if, you know, you have 300 or 400 of them. Now, I still have an awful lot. I would just, you know, maybe estimate a couple. I'm not going to tell you. Don't worry about it. But it's more manageable. That's for sure. Yeah, a year ago, you would not have seen me out here dusting the leaves of my orchid. There were too many. I had to take a fan and go through and just make sure they all got a good blowing weekly to try and get it off. And multitasking can still be a challenge. Like, I just now realized I should really be soaking my vandas while I'm doing this. Get them down there in the aquaponics tub. They are so thirsty. It is so cold here today. It's -5 degrees, 5 below 0 Fahrenheit. And the humidity is 26%. Now, it's warmer than that, obviously, in my grow space. I wouldn't be sitting in here. But it's only, what is it? I've got it up to 56. It was 49 when I came out here this morning. Dreadful. I'm doing things to handle that, though. That's not for this video. There you go, guys. Get your drink. Okay, much better. Sorry about that, but I felt like it would have been weird if all of a sudden one shot there were orchids in there and the next shot they were in here. Would have been kind of confusing. Like I was saying, I can focus better now. And I actually am a little bit more appreciative of some of the orchids that I have as well. It's because I'm kind of spending more one-on-one time with them. And I know that might sound kind of odd, but that really has been my experience so far. And doing this also helped me focus on my growing style. Like I was talking about that orchid dance video I did. And I think it was Maria, actually, that I was talking to in a comment at some time, I think midsummer 2017. Where I mentioned that I did a video a while ago called I Suck at Cattleyas, and really the only issue I was having with my Cattleyas was simply that I was overwatering them. I'm a heavy-handed waterer. That's why I like vandas so much, because you can just water them and water them and water them, I mean, to an extent, and they thrive, given the right conditions in all the other areas. Cattleyas don't like that, which I knew, but it was so hard to stop myself, and so I moved put them all on an orchid stand and moved them far away from where my hose could reach so that I could only hand water them and fertilize them and whatnot, and they did so much better. I had to save them from me, and it helped retrain myself with what I'm doing with them. They're looking much better this year. Still not great because, you know, I had kind of put them through it in the past, but they improved. There was growth, multiple growths. There's lots of sheaths. They're all over here right now. Things are cold. Like I was saying, my plants are thirsty. It's been very cold. I haven't been able to water heavily for a little over a week. So that's not ideal. But I have less of them to worry about now, so I'm able to go ahead and give them all small drinks occasionally. I can't really drench them when it's so cold out. Not unless I want some of them to rot, which, you know, I don't. That would be dumb. And another thing I've enjoyed about it is I've been able to, like I said, spend that more one-on-one time with my plants and look at them and recognize who needs calcium, magnesium, potassium, silica, nitrogen, and, you know, all the micros and macros. Just overall get better growth out of them. Like I can look at this guy right here and tell, hey, you could use more supplementation. I'd say it needs some calcium for sure. The leaves are a little bit loose and floppy and yellowy, so iron. You needed iron, preferably. When I had a few hundred orchids, I probably wouldn't have noticed that. And, you know, things still get past me, for sure. And so overall, though there was some loss with the orchids, everything really ended up doing better than I think it would have. My outlook for 2018 is much more positive now than it was in 2017, partially just because I'm able to focus more on my orchids and give them the love and attention that they need. Would like to get a few new orchids. We will see. The orchid show's coming up in, I think, a month from today or tomorrow. So, I mean, you know, don't hold me to it. I'm definitely going to be buying orchids there. But probably not as many as I have in the past. Probably going to be more focused on getting orchids that I really, really want instead of just getting really good buys. But I mean, that'll probably happen too, because, you know, old habits. I've really begun to appreciate orchids in more of an artistic form as well. In 2018, this year, I would really like to get back into mounted orchids. I got away from them for a while for a variety of reasons. Take too long to explain in this video, but they attract a pest where I live that is obnoxious. There are synthetic things to try. I have more time now to get a little bit more creative with the orchids. I'd like to start mounting them to large branches and naturalizing them a little bit, and still having some that are, you know, cute and dumb. Like this is just a $5 fowl. I didn't bloom this. This was in a video from a while ago. But I don't know. My appreciation has grown and changed for these guys a lot. Not that I didn't appreciate them before. I mean, I love orchids. I have since I was a young child. Since I was about 8 years old is when I got my first orchid. I just want to start seeing them looking more natural in my garden. And I think that's going to be really fun and exciting to do. To start wrapping them and mounting them and practicing some things with Cocodema, possibly. I'm really looking forward to this year and my orchid growing. Everything from 2017 has left me more calm, more relaxed, more confident, and not be embarrassed to talk about any failures that I've had. You know, the failures help us all, as weird as that is. Supposed to sum things up, what I'm really saying is that 2017, particularly with my orchid growing, and in all other aspects of my life, really has been about transition and balance and mindfulness and tranquility. And my orchids that I grow, all my other plants as well, are really a big part of my tranquility, my balance, my mindfulness, just my overall inner peace. So I really look forward to what 2018 has in store. I think it's going to be a fun year. And quite possibly one of the best experiences of 2017 with my orchids was being able to grow and meet all of you. This orchid community is so strong, and I love being a part of it. Even though I don't do orchid videos that often anymore, you know, I have a lot of other plants that I talk about. But I'm getting back into it, and I'm loving every minute of it. And that's largely because of you all, my orchid friends. And so to that, I'd like to wish everybody a happy 2018. Hope y'all had a great new year. Here you go, have a drink. I literally just poured martini on myself for that shot. So happy New Year, everybody. I hope things are going great in your garden and with your orchids. And join in on this kind of tag, not really a tag, but I'll paste Maria's description for the video down below. Don't forget to comment down below. I love talking to y'all. Hit that thumbs up. It helps a lot. Subscribe. I upload multiple times a week. And as always, everybody, keep on growing. Bye-bye.